Lud-in-the-Mist, the capital city of the small country of Doramere, is a port at the confluence of two rivers, the Dapple and the Dal. The Dapple has its origin beyond the debatable hills to the west of Lud-in-the-Mist, in Fairyland. Hello and welcome to Liam's Lyceum. I'm your host, Liam, aka Himbar, and today I'll be doing a spoiler-free review of Hope Mirrlees' Lud-in-the-Mist. Lud-in-the-Mist is a 1926 fantasy standalone novel by Hope Mirrlees. Lud-in-the-Mist itself is also the capital of the liminal space that is the country of Doramere. It's surrounded by sea on the south, there's mountains on the east and north, and Fairyland lies to the west. They have not had relations with the people of Fairyland for a long while, and the people, the Luddites, are largely an isolated country. This is firmly a secondary world, making this some early high fantasy. The city spreads around the confluence of the rivers Dapple and Dal. The inhabitants are stuck in their prejudices, having lost something, and their art and life itself, it seems, immediately obvious to the reader. The first character we meet is obviously missing something, and his alienation has him wishing he is dead, as no one else feels real, or at least connected with reality. A la the short story Sanity by Fritz and Leiber, but just kind of with, this disconnection from culture and history and other things that kind of comes about from modernism. These people really don't like fairies. There's insults involving such folk. Essentially, eating fairy fruit is only practiced by the dirty lowlives, right? The unclean, the other. But it's widely available in Doramere, though its journey across the border is a mystery, and that kind of takes up some of the plot of this story. This immediately reminded me some of Dunsany's The King of Elfin's Daughter, which came out a couple years before this. The setting feels a bit more modern, more whimsical and silly, rather than, medieval. A lot of these fantasy stories are. The Luddites lack imagination and mostly a sense of humor too, even though their architecture does sound beautiful. Young Ranulph is a conundrum of behavior for his parents and their associates. And with him, maybe there is a chance for his father, the man who is mayor but feels alone, right? He sees a chance to help his son. The Chanticleer family is in for many revelations throughout the story, though. I don't imagine it's a coincidence that the city inhabitants are called Luddites, right? This is a novel from modernity, a sequel to Romanticism and Decadence, in which industrialization ruined humanity, right? And also, I don't have much to say about this one. I did enjoy it, not as much as, say, something like the Dunsany I've read, or even William Morris, which is about a generation, I guess, before this at this point, his late stuff. But it is an interesting book to read, at least in a historical context, right? This is 1926. We're talking about it's almost 100 years ago as of recording this, and that's a long time ago, right? And it does give you an interesting look at an earlier fantasy work and then maybe what's evolved from it. I do know Neil Gaiman is a fan, but Neil Gaiman's also a fan of just about everything. And he writes intros for so many fantasy classics. It's really ridiculous. So I don't know if that actually tells us much here, but maybe it does for big Neil Gaiman fans. If you were to read this, maybe you'd see some connections, but that is not me. So anyways, Liam from Liam's Lyceum, I will catch you next time.